Most people may remember Atari more as a video game and console manufacturer, but they also had a market in personal computers. Their successful 8-bit home computers made a pretty good killing and laid the grounds for the 5200 Super System, plus the games that were made for the family were pretty great. One of their more notable titles would have to be Star Raiders. As it turned out, this game was so successful that Atari decided to port it to the 2600. But this game was more on the complex side and they needed to add something to make the game playable. And this is what they came up with. This is the Video Touchpad, a keypad controller for the Atari VCS. It was packed in with the 2600 port of Star Raiders that included the third volume of Atari Force, all for a whopping 75 cents. Yeah, right. I paid about 20 bucks for this, really. Taking this controller out of its box, we can see that it shares similarities to other controllers like the keyboard controller and the 5200 controller in terms of the keypad, but the VTP is plainer than the rest, with having only the color black and nothing but its trademark name to identify itself. The keypad is also lacking much, but it's still very clean and the buttons are smooth. That must be a sign showing the usage of this controller has been very minimal. Or maybe it's due to the other contents that lie in this box, the overlays. Much like the 5200 controller that preceded it, the Video Touchpad used this overlay to identify the buttons being used. In this case, Star Raiders only used these 5. I wouldn't be surprised if the non-usable buttons are still in pristine condition. In a sense, the bottom half of this controller is still new. But if you ever need to get into this controller to do some repair, you can just flip it over to access the screws on the bottom. You can also see the footrest, the Atari logo, and which state in the Republic of China this controller was made from. That's nice and all, but I'm sure most are interested with how this is used to play. It's simple, really. All you have to do is connect it to the other controller slot that your regular joystick isn't connected to. You see, you'll be using the Video Touchpad in conjunction with the joystick. It's more or less a secondary controller for the sake of having more buttons to balance out the complex gaming. That does make sense, but when Activision was able to replicate the same premise with just using the joystick and console switches, it very much makes this controller feel like a waste. The Video Touchpad works solely for Star Raiders. No other game was made or works with this controller. I'm sure that maybe some future games may have been planned to incorporate the VTP, but in hindsight this may have just been an experiment to test out how a keypad would work with gamers before the 5200 came out. Too bad if that was the case, because nobody could get over the terrible joystick to even try out the keypad on this god-awful controller. The Video Touchpad, however, is an interesting piece of Atari controlling history. Its use is very limited and legacy is very strained, but you should get it anyway so you'll be able to play the 2600 version of Star Raiders without issue. Or if you have none of those, you should try and find the original Atari Force comic that came with the game. It's a pretty cool read and maybe more appealing than the controller and game in general. Got any fond memories with this controller/accessory? Tell me about it by leaving a comment. If you like what you see, be sure to leave a like. If you think others would like this, share the video around. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button pronto. This is BrianTheBlue, and I'll see you later.